Hello everyone and welcome back to our channel. What if one secret confession could completely flip someone's life upside down in just a few seconds? Because that's exactly what's about to happen in Weatherfield. And trust me, nobody is ready for it. Coronation Street fans are witnessing a massive emotional bombshell as Megan finally reveals a shocking secret to Daniel Osborne. After weeks of strange behavior and nervous excuses, the truth comes out. Megan is pregnant and the father is Will. So let's talk about the latest drama shaking the streets of Weatherfield, because this storyline is packed with tension, secrets, and one huge revelation that could change everything for several characters. It all begins with Daniel Osborne, who has already been dealing with a lot of emotional struggles lately. Daniel has always tried to keep his life steady, focusing on honesty and stability. After everything he's been through in the past, he's the kind of person who wants to believe things can finally settle down for once. But of course, this is Coronation Street, and peaceful moments rarely last long on the cobbles. Just when Daniel starts thinking life might be calming down, Megan suddenly becomes the center of attention for all the wrong reasons. Her behavior begins to raise eyebrows. She seems distracted during conversations, avoids direct questions, and constantly looks like she's carrying a heavy secret. The people around her start to notice the small cracks in her calm presence. At first, it's subtle. Megan disappears whenever discussions get serious. She brushes off questions with vague answers. She seems nervous whenever certain topics come up. And while most people might shrug that off as stress, Daniel's instincts immediately tell him something bigger is going on. Daniel has never been the type of to ignore his gut feeling. The more he watches Megan, the more convinced he becomes that she's hiding something serious. What starts as simple concern slowly turns into determination. Daniel begins paying closer attention to everything around her, and little clues start piling up. There is a missed appointment that Megan awkwardly tries to explain away. Then there is a mysterious phone calls she doesn't want anyone to hear. Add to that her strange reactions whenever certain names are mentioned, and suddenly Daniel started seeing a pattern that doesn't make sense. Eventually Daniel reaches the point where he can't just sit back anymore. He decides to confront Megan directly. Now imagine that moment. That tension in the room is thick. Daniel demands answers, but Megan tries to brush it off like nothing is wrong. She insists everything is fine, giving the kind of vague reassurance that usually ends conversations. But Daniel isn't buying it. He keeps pressing, asking tougher questions, refusing to let the issue slide. The pressure keeps building until Megan finally realizes she can't hide the truth anymore. The secret she's been carrying for weeks is about to come out, and when it does, it completely shocks Daniel. With tears in her eyes and fear written all over her face, Megan finally admits the truth. She tells Daniel that she is pregnant. That alone is enough to leave him stunned for a moment. But the real shock comes seconds later. The father of the baby is Will. At that moment, Daniel is completely speechless. It's the kind of news that hits like a lightning strike. He just stands there trying to process what he's hearing, because this is absolutely not something he ever expected. Think about it from his perspective. In just a few seconds, everything he thought he understood about the situation has changed. His mind starts racing with questions. How did this happen? How long has this been going on? And what does it mean for everyone involved? Meanwhile, Megan is terrified about how Daniel will react. She quickly tries to explain that none of this was planned. According to her, everything started with impulsive choices and complicated emotions that quickly spiraled out of control. She insists that she never meant for things to reach this point. For weeks, she has been living with the fear of telling anyone the truth. At one point, she never even considered keeping the pregnancy a secret forever, but hiding something this big turned out to be impossible. The stress was overwhelming. Daniel listens to all of this with emotions running in every direction. Part of him is angry and shocked. Another part of him just wants to walk away from the whole situation because it feels too big to handle. But at the same time, he can't ignore the fact that Megan is clearly scared and vulnerable. The conversation turns even more intense when Daniel asks the most obvious question of all. Does Will know? Megan hesitates before answering, and that hesitation instantly raises Daniel's frustration. Finally, she admits that Will has no idea about the pregnancy yet. He doesn't know he's about to become a father. And just like that, the situation becomes even more complicated. Daniel realizes that once Will finds out, everything could be explode. Relationships could break down, loyalties could be tested, and the emotional fallout might spread far beyond just the three people directly involved. But the situation isn't only about secrets and betrayal. Daniel also starts thinking about the unborn child and what the future might look like. Suddenly, the story becomes about responsibility, difficult decisions, and how people deal with unexpected life changes. Megan eventually breaks down completely. After holding everything inside for so long, she finally lets the fear and anxiety pour out. She admits she hasn't been sleeping properly because she's constantly worried about how everyone will react once the truth comes out. She's afraid of being judged by the people around her. She worries about what the community will think. And more than anything, she fears that revealing the truth will destroy the fragile stability she still has left in her life. Daniel, despite still being shocked, slowly begins to soften a little. His anger doesn't disappear, but he starts to see just how overwhelming this situation has been for Megan. She explains how discovering the pregnancy completely changed her world. At first, she was in total shock, then came the panic about how to deal with it. She convinced herself that she could handle everything alone, but reality proved much harder than she expected. Doctor's appointments, emotional stress, and the constant fear of someone finding out made it impossible to pretend everything was normal. Daniel listens carefully, slowly realizing how heavy the burden has been for her. But even as he begins to understand, the biggest question still hangs in the air. What will happen when Will finally learns the truth? That moment is clearly coming, and when it arrives, it could be explosive. Daniel knows the secret won't stay hidden forever. Eventually, Will have to face the reality that he's going to be a father, and depending on how he reacts, the future for everyone involved could change everything completely. As the news about Megan's pregnancy slowly begins to spread through Weatherfield, people start reacting in their own ways. Some show sympathy, understanding how difficult the situation must be for Megan. Others are far more critical, wondering how things escalated so dramatically, and that's exactly what makes life on the cobbles so compelling. Every situation brings different opinions, emotions, and consequences. For Daniel, this moment becomes a major turning point. Even though he isn't responsible for the situation, he suddenly finds himself deeply involved in the emotional fallout. Now he has to decide whether he's going to support Megan through the chaos or step away from the drama completely. Meanwhile, Megan faces the huge challenge of preparing for motherhood while dealing with all the tension surrounding her. But everything is leading toward one inevitable moment. Sooner or later, Will is going to find out the truth, and when that confrontation finally happens, it could become one of the most explosive scenes Weatherfield has seen in a long time. This revelation could completely reshape multiple relationships in Weatherfield, especially once Will learns he's about to become a father and the emotional fallout begins spreading across the community. Honestly, this storyline feels like classic Coronation Street drama, messy, emotional, and impossible to look away from because one secret has the power to turn everyone's life upside down. So what do you think? How will react when he finally discovers Megan is pregnant with his baby? And do you think Daniel will stand by Megan or walk away from the chaos? Let me know your thoughts in the comments. And don't forget to like the video and subscribe for more Coronation Street drama updates.